Picked up a fairly cheap i7 3770K, so I thought I would whack it into this board. I used to have an i5, and the i7 is definitely hotter, so this is the stock heatsink that comes with the i5 and i7s, but I'm easily seeing in the 80s for performance. So what I thought I'd do is I swap it out for this one here, ID Cooling's SC224XT, and we'll see how this goes. So here's the heatsink. It's quite a beast, as you can see, if you compare the two units. So that's going to be in there. It's going to be quite high, but yeah, should fit in. Probably go that way, I guess. A little vent out of here. Comes with a fan, although I believe this is quite noisy, so I'll probably use one of my own fans for this. And of course you get all your bits. So for the Intel you need obviously the back plate, straight plates, spacers, and of course the screws here. The heatsink itself will actually screw down using those screws which stay in. So and in here of course we've got a nice copper base, so you can see there the copper for the heat pipes. Yeah, it's nice and smooth, so it should do a better job taking the heat up through here, where the fan mounts on like that. It's got nice rubber little bumper stops here to stop vibration, so I don't know if I'll be able to take them off and put them onto my own fan, but I think this one here is so noisy, especially at full load, kind of detracts from having a quiet PC. But anyway, with this one here, what you have to do is you have to turn these little screws here, turn them anti-clockwise, and then around the back, what you'll notice, let's get some light. So around the back, you'll notice that the fan pins go into the 4 holes in the back of the board. And what you'll need to do is pull the black inner pin out of here so that it releases. You can see there, and then once you've done that, you'll be able to squeeze those clear plastic bits together and then push the cooler out. See if I can get one to move to show you. So it's going to be that one there. There we go. So you see that disappeared. So that's pulled it back. Let's do the one over here so you can see that one. There you go. So when it's in the lock position, it's pushed in, and when you pull them out, it allows the jaws to close a bit. It's a bit of a struggle, and I don't know how often you are able to use these reliably, but it's only plastic, so over time I think they get a bit weaker. But yeah, so once you've done that for all 4, you can wiggle the heatsink off and yeah, pull those bits out. They can be quite tricky, but yeah, it's just a case of taking your time. So once you've done that, from turning these anti-clockwise, you need to pull the whole assembly up, keep pulling till they click, and eventually they'll actually pull out of the holes. Make sure you remove your CPU fan pin header as well, or wire connection. If it's been here for a while, you might need to wiggle this as well, backwards or forwards, left or right. Just take your time, but this one's only been in a week or 2, so I'm actually out. Yep, there we go. And out of interest, I used the spread method rather than just leaving a P, and it was definitely covering well. How's the heatsink? yeah, not too bad. Don't know if that's dried there, but my Arctic Silver 5 is quite a few years old now. So, interestingly, this one is actually a copper-based Intel heatsink as well. So I made sure I got a copper-based one, at least to help with the heat. But yeah, it's not up to the job. You can see how big that is. We compare it to the new one. So a crazy difference in size. So next to be the cleanup job, isopropyl alcohol, get it all nice and clean, and yeah, we can reassemble. So there we go, you've got your back plate. You can see that goes into the holes and lines up. These here, they can move out or in depending on your socket configuration. So may need to push them in. There we go. And you can see there's cutouts for any screws that may be in place, one at the bottom. And then it's a case of yeah, moving on to the top stage. So you'll need to keep this in position as you turn the motherboard back around. So after the bracket's in, it's taking those black spacers and putting them onto the pins that come through the board, as you can see there. So I've done 3, just that last one to do at the bottom there, bottom right. So once you've done that bit, I've screwed a couple of these on here just to keep this bracket in place, and then you need to take one of your bars for whichever system you're using and place that onto those pins like that, and then screw them down with the thumb screws. And then of course once that's done, I'll remove those 2 and do the same with the other bracket. So you have to note which way this goes down. So it's kind of got the curved bit facing the CPU socket. So that's how that will go. And then of course your pin here, that is where your CPU heatsink itself will attach to. So I'll get them in now and then swap these 2, and then we'll see how that looks. You've got to get the orientation set up correctly first, so I wouldn't want it like that. I ideally want it like this, so that this reverse fan, this exhaust fan will pull air out, and then I'm planning to mount the fan where my thumb is here, so that we've got a nice flow of air coming out. So just take a few minutes to align it, get it sorted first before you stick on any heatsink compound. Otherwise it just makes it a sticky mess, hence the gloves. So there we go, we've got our brackets on now. You can see the pins here and here. That's where this heatsink is going to connect. So you can just see the thumb screw there with the spring. That's going to go on like that. So that's how it's going to mount. So thankfully we've got plenty of room. So I'm just going to dry run before any paste, make sure it fits in okay and there's no space issues. And of course, don't forget to remove your warning sticker. This is the fan I'm going to put on. Actually, it's a Arctic cooling fan, much quieter, so I'm going to use that instead. Same size, but yeah, the rubber grommets, as you can see here, aren't going to fit, so I may have to just make my own version or trim them perhaps, but that'll be fine. That's for later if I find that it's vibrating, because of course they're only fitted on by these little wire springs. Just clip around. Yeah, there we go. So clips on like that, and as you can see there, pull it around into that position there. So it just kind of holds it in place. Yeah, it's quite a neat design. Tight enough once you got the other one in. And you get another pair actually. So if you wanted to, you could have double cooling fan action. So one to send air in and one to send air out, but we'll see how it goes first. That's how I do my heatsink compound. I know there's so many different methods. Some people just put a P on, some people do an X, people do a Y, some people put the whole alphabet on there. It doesn't really matter that much, but I just like to know that I've put on a nice good spread, not too much so it's going to flap over the lid and go onto the circuit board, but just enough to know that there's any gaps there it'll press in. So that's how I'm going to leave it. I used a finger with a plastic bag over the end of my finger just to mix it in, so it's pretty good. This Arctic Silver is quite old, so it's getting a bit stiff, a bit hard, but it doesn't matter. As long as there's something on there, that's all that matters. Assembly time. So that's going to be the heatsink in place. I'm just checking to make sure it's all lined up correctly. The fan will come in like this, and we do have a bit of clearance for the memory just at the bottom there, a couple of mil actually, so that's not too bad. If you need to, I think you can raise the fan up a bit, but yeah, so that's going to be fine in that orientation. Take air from this side, blow it through, and then the exhaust fan will take it out the back, so it should be quite good. Okay, so we're in place. Those screws, I used a screwdriver in the end. I hand tightened them first evenly, left and right, and eventually I used the screwdriver, and they do actually stop. So they come down to a full stop, and that's far enough then. So yeah, that's installed. I'm going to power it up, make sure it's heating up. If it's heating up correctly around here, we know that the heat's being transferred from the CPU up to the device, and then I'll eventually put the fan on. So power up time. Let's see if it works. Okay, it's all in, fan's up and running, and yeah, very impressed. The temperatures have definitely dropped, at least 10 degrees, possibly 20. So yeah, as you can see, fans on there, nice and silent. Beauty of these type of fans is you can really reduce them down to just a crawl, and yeah, it gets a really nice silent cooling. So I have to say that was a good product, not expensive, and yeah, recommend those. ID Cooling, not bad.